purpose, he gave us birth by the word of truth, so that we would become a kind of first fruits of his creatures. You must understand this, my beloved. Let everyone be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger, for your anger does not produce God's righteousness. Therefore, rid yourselves of all sordidness, and rank growth of wickedness, and welcome with meekness the implanted word that the power to save your souls. But be doers of the word, and not merely hearers who deceive themselves. For if any are hearers of the word and not doers, they are like those who look at themselves in the mirror. For they look at themselves, and on going away immediately forgot what they were like. For those who look into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and persevere, be not hearers who forget, but doers who act, they will be blessed in their own doing. If any think that religious, and do not bridle their tongues, but deceive their hearts, their religion is worthless. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this, to care for orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself unsustained by the world. Word of God, word of life.
Thanks be to God.
Our second reading is from the book of Mark, chapter 7, verses 1 through 8, verses 14 and 15, and verses 21 through 23, and can be found in the Pew Bibles on page 818. Now when the Pharisees and some of the scribes who had come from Jerusalem gathered around him, they noticed that some of his disciples were eating with defiled hands, that is, without washing them. For the Pharisees and all the Jews do not eat unless they thoroughly wash their hands, thus observing the tradition of the elders. They do not eat anything from the market unless they wash it. And there are also many other traditions that they observe, the washing of cups, pots, and bronze kettles. So the Pharisees and the scribes asked him, "Why do your disciples not live according to the tradition of the elders, but eat with defiled hands?" He said to them, "Isaiah prophesied rightly about you hypocrites, as it is written, that this people honors me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching human precepts as doctrines. You abandon the commandment of God and hold to human tradition." Then he called the crowd again and said to them, "Listen to me, all of you, and understand, there is nothing outside a person that can, by going in, can defile. But the things that come out are what defile. For it is from within, from the human heart, that evil intentions come: fornication, theft, murder, adultery, avarice, wickedness, deceit, licentiousness, envy, slander, pride, and folly. All these evil things come from within, and they defile a person." Word of God, word of life.
Thanks be to God.
Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Now I know some of you are already back at school, and those of you who have finished your school and are no longer thinking about school, I'm still asking you to put on your thinking caps today. You know how to do that? Those who are younger, you know what a thinking cap is? I'm not going to make you actually put it on, but if you can think about certain numbers that I'm going to give you. Are you ready? I'm going to give you some numbers and I want you to hold on to them. First one, 114. 81. 59. 1. 0. Okay, I'll say them again. 114, 81, 59, 1, 0. So what's the first one?
114.
114. 114 is the number of days until Christmas. Why are you laughing? And people did that in the first service. Why is that so funny? It's 114 days until Christmas. I'm just stating a fact. have been given a gift by God in the life of Jesus Christ. It is a holiday in which we know to be true, it is far better to give than to receive. Okay? And so by following that, we have the joy of going out and spending our hard-earned money from here until that 114th day. So basically, I can say you have 114 shopping days left. So 114 is the number of days until that gift from God in the life of Jesus Christ. Anyone know what day of the week it is? It's a Tuesday. Okay? Very good. So, anyone know where they're going to be on 114 days from now? Doesn't really matter. I'm going to ask you to shout it out, but it's an opportunity. All right, so 81. 81 is the number of days until Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, a day in which we honor God by giving thanks to God for all the things that God has given us. Namely food, namely turkey, and football. And just so you understand, this was a really good weekend for football, if you didn't notice. Thursday night, the Indianapolis Colts beat their final preseason foe. And then yesterday, Clemson won. You're welcome, Karen. And the Gamecocks won. And Penn State won. It was a really good, who said that? It was a really good game. It was a really good weekend. And if you don't have an NFL team, here's one more reason why it was a good weekend. For those of you who are Gamecock fans, you have one more reason to like the Indianapolis Colts, because a former Gamecock just made it to the 53-man roster of the Indianapolis Colts. So if you don't have an NFL team, I invite you to join the ranks of fans like myself, only if to serve in supporting the Gamecocks. So, God gave us a day in which to remember to give thanks to God for food and football, of course, family and friends. What's the next number?
59.
59. 59 is the number of days until All Saints' Day. All Saints' Day is a gift from God in which we remember those people who have died in the faith since the last All Saints' Day. It is a day in which we remember folks who in life followed Christ, had a relationship with Jesus, but also had a relationship with us. All Saints' Day is a way in which we remember baptism and Holy Communion and how those two sacraments connect us with the past, with the present, and with the future. It is a day in which we remember that great cloud of witnesses who has influenced our lives by affecting our faith, by encouraging us to go to church, by sharing their faith with others, but being examples of what it means to be Christian in our life. All Saints' Day, a gift from God. What's the next number?
0.
1. That is the number of days until what? Labor Day. That's tomorrow. Okay, that's one day, just in case you weren't paying attention. Labor Day. That day is also a gift from God. It is not on our liturgical calendar. It is not a part of the church calendar, but it is certainly wise for us to lift up labor in how God gives us purpose in our lives every single day. Through occupations, through vocations, through the labor of our daily lives. Now, Labor Day is the result of the labor movement in this country wanting to lift up the labor of the people who have made this country great. The people who have worked in factories, the people who have worked in the mines, the people who have made a difference in making laws to make work life better. Even if you're not fond of or don't agree with unions, it is because of unions that the labor movement got to where it was to help people who weren't even part of unions. If you benefit from a 5-day week, a 5-day working week, you reap the benefits of the labor movement. If you are a child and are not finding yourself working in the mines 25 to 30 hours a week in addition to going to school, or maybe even not going to school at all, it is because that the labor movement pushed for laws to put child labor laws in place. If you are part of unions, it is very possible that you have been part of the labor movement that helped negotiate fair working conditions and fair working wages. But even if you don't agree with labor, we still celebrate Labor Day nonetheless. I'm not saying if you don't agree with unions, I should say. We still celebrate labor nonetheless. Tomorrow, hopefully you will remember in a short prayer or a short remembrance what work is all about, what labor is all about, and why we have this holiday to begin with. It is a gift from God so that we have purpose for our daily lives. Being a husband, being a wife, being a father, being a mother, being a child, whatever your vocation is, being a teacher, being a mine worker, being a factory worker, being a doctor, being a nurse, being a student of any age, we're all part of what tomorrow is all about. And it is a gift from God to celebrate the gift of labor. Now, some of you who are retired might say, I don't really need to celebrate labor because I'm retired and I don't have to worry about that. Or some of you who are still working might say, I don't want to celebrate labor because I'm still working and I don't really want to be working. I'm very thankful for the example of Troy, who could retire basically younger than I was, or am right now, and still able to enjoy life in retired life. He's a good example of what it means to take the labor and the hard work and the financial part of God's gift of labor and put it to use. Okay, so with that being said, there is a scripture that I want you to remember in addition to what we're going to get to in a second. Ecclesiastes 3:12 through 13. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to be good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in their toil. This is the gift from God. What's the last number? 0. Okay? Well, let's review. What were the numbers again?
114.
114, which was the Christmas. 114 days until Christmas. What was the next number?
81.
81, the number of days until Thanksgiving. 59,
All Saints.
All Saints Day. 1, Labor Day. And 0. Well, 0 would mean that we're talking about today. Today is a gift from God. Today is a gift from God that God gives us in order to remember all the blessings that God gives us on a daily basis. We don't have to wait until Christmas or Thanksgiving or All Saints Day or Labor Day to remember that God blesses us every single day with everything that we need. And by virtue of that fact that we are given the opportunity to be stewards of all those gifts, of all those blessings, to take care of what God has given us, to take care of what God owns, and we're basically just renting. In our reading from James, we hear this: every generous act of giving with every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. Every generous act of giving with every perfect gift is from above. Every one of those holidays that you and I just talked about is from God. Every generous act that you make on behalf of your family, every generous act that you make on behalf of this congregation, every generous act that you make on behalf of the community or worldwide charities is a gift from God. Every breath that you take is a gift from God. Every blink of your eyes is a gift from God. Every step that you take is a gift from God. Every smile that you give to someone else is a gift from God. All of it happens because God loves us. And it all starts with that gift that we started out with. 114 days, the gift of Christmas, the gift of Jesus Christ, the gift of love in the world. That is the gift that we need to share, not just on Christmas Day, but year-round. We don't have to wait 114 days to share Jesus Christ. We can thank God for him now. We don't have to wait 81 days to thank God for the food that is on our table. We can do it now. We don't have to wait 59 days to thank God for the people in our lives, the people that have joined us in faith through baptism and Holy Communion. We can thank God now. We don't have to wait until tomorrow to thank God for the labor that God gives to us, for the vocations that each of us represents. We can thank God now. We are called to be stewards and act as if we are cheerful givers. Givers of thanks, givers of our time, givers of our resources, givers of our gifts. Because they all come from God, coming down to us in generosity from God's providence. May you and I, this weekend, and all the days that we have just talked about, in these Burr months, September, October, November, and December, all these months that seem to be talking about gifts from God, may you and I remember in these gifting months that we have a loving God that gives to us abundantly. Because as Ecclesiastes says, God wants us to live abundantly and live happily. And in response to that, we are called to give happily. To give of our resources, to give of our gifts, to give of our time happily. Because God gave us the first example of what that means. So tomorrow, 59 days, 81 days, 114 days, and every day in between, may we be thankful to a God that is so generous and loves us, who gifts us